Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Hope you are doing fantastically today on this lovely Tuesday morning up here in Newcastle. Nice and bright, ever so breezy. My name is Matt. I'm going to be guiding you through today's webinar, which is Sage 50 Accounts, Company Preferences. So today's webinar is going to be a little bit different to the usual webinars that we have. If you've attended this session before, you'll already know that. But by the description of the actual session itself, you'll know that we are just going through some settings. In more detail, we're going to be looking at what are company preferences, why use them. Then it's a demonstration. I'm going to be going into the program to show you around the company preferences and what you can and can't do within there and what changes you can make. So this isn't really a webinar about processing, about fixing things, reports, anything like that at all. It's more of just a conversation with me, because you can ask questions at any point, about what certain things do within the company preferences section. I'm going to guide you as best I can through that, but if you do have any questions, send them in. What we'll do as well after the demonstration, a quick summary of what we've looked at, and then I'll point you in the direction of some of the resources that we have as well. Now, on to the housekeeping. So if you've been here before, you'll know the rules. If not, then these are the rules. Your microphone is muted automatically. And like I always say, if you cough or sneeze, don't worry. You're not going to interrupt me whatsoever. I cannot hear you. Now, there is no handout today, so don't worry. Not being complacent and forgot to add it. It doesn't exist because it would sincerely just be 3 pages. 1, telling you what company preferences are. 2, telling you why to use them. And 3, a demonstration slide. It's not an extensive webinar today. It is scheduled for 45 minutes. Absolutely upfront with you, half an hour would be a push. So you are going to get some of your daytime back. But again, it depends on what kind of questions you ask, if I'm honest. So ask away when you can. Any questions whatsoever. Obviously, in connection with company preferences, please. I'm not very good at general knowledge. I will prioritize the company preferences questions first. If there's any questions that I can't answer, I'll get back to you after the webinar via email, as we always do. It is just myself today, flying solo as we call it. So thank you again in advance for your patience. Now, when I do answer a question, this is often asked at the end. When I do answer one, I won't be replying to it in written form. I'll be replying to it verbally, which means the audience, all of you guys here today, will not see that question. In order for you to see that question, I would have to answer it via typing. That isn't going to happen when I'm one-on-one today. So what will happen is that you'll receive a copy of the recording an hour after. And if there is a question that you think, oh, that was a good question, I want to rewatch it, then just fast forward to that particular place in time in the webinar, and you'll be able to have that question answered for you. Failing that, send me an email. The inbox that we've got is monitored by us all, so send it in. Or even fill out a feedback form with a question on. Absolutely fine with both. So again, just myself today, so thank you for your patience in advance. Without further ado, I think we should get started, shouldn't we? So let's first look at what are company preferences. Well, these are a set of customizable settings. Okay, it basically tailors your software to suit your processing and your business needs. As you can see from the slide there, the most obvious one that we've got is details. You put your company name, business type, address, etc. Now, the data I'm going to be using today is demonstration data that I've created, not the one that's built into the program. Please feel free to click along in your software. I think that would be beneficial today, and you'll be able to see some of the changes that you've made. Now, be wary of the changes that we make, because if you do make a change, you obviously want to know how to undo that change if you don't like it. But again, completely up to you on this one. If you want to use demonstration data, fire away. But remember, these are changes to your program, not just the company itself at some stages. So let's move on. Those are company preferences. They affect the company that you're in. Now, why use them? Well, I've just summarized it before. Tailored business setup. Improve compliance because you're going to be more accurate with the details that you're holding. You can have enhanced reporting in there. Reporting is a tab. There's little features that you can turn on. Streamline your operations. So instead of having to type things continuously all the time, have them pre-made and ready to go. A better user experience because again, you're saving time and your integration tools. So if you do have integration and third-party apps, as they're called, then you can control some of the detail through company preferences. Now you could sit pretty much and talk about this all day. I'm not going to. We're going to go into a demonstration because visual learning with company preferences is always the best way of doing it. So as you can see, I'm in my demonstration VAT return because at the moment, as if by chance, we are doing the VAT proficiency badge. So if you haven't signed up to any of the sessions, go to sage.co.uk/webinars or click on this in your program, the home screen. Often clicked away from without reading this screen, but there's some really, really good bits of information on there. All our webinars pretty much are advertised on there. So sign up for this one. We're rerunning it again in the first week of July. We're coming to a close this week on the first week of it. Just repeat sessions. But I digress. So company preferences, what will you need? Well, first off, you'll need to click on settings and there is company preferences right there. Now what you need for this one, I'm going to skip through this because I haven't done any processing. What you do need is you need the password to your company. Because the changes that you can make are to the company itself, the preferences of that company, you will need the authorization in order to make those changes. That's where your password comes in. It doesn't matter if you've literally just logged into the machine and typed your password in. Whenever you click on settings company preferences, it will always ask you. And just to prove that point, I've opened company preferences there. I close it again. If I click on settings and company preferences, it is password locked. It stops anybody being able to access it who doesn't have the authority to do so. So once you're in, let's have a quick glance around at what we're going to be looking at here. First things first, as the slide said, details. I can change the name here. Okay, so I'm going to change the name to Testy Test Test. Okay, I'm just going to be a bit ridiculous with it. Click OK, and look at that. It's changed straight away at the top. You can easily change it back. No harm, no foul. Again, password to be entered. You'll get sick of me saying that by the end of this webinar. Password entered. Then we go straight to our company preferences. And I'm just going to change the name back because I need this for tomorrow. So there we go. I'm going to click OK. And you'll see we're back again. So back to company preferences, settings, company preferences, and password. So we're back. Then details, what else have we got in here? So you've got your sole trader, partnership, limited company, etc. You've got your address. This address can be brought forward onto your reports, stationery, etc. You've got your email, website, your DUNS number. So that is your data universal numbering system, and it's a unique 9-digit identifier, and that's assigned to you by Dun & Bradstreet. And that's given to businesses. It's kind of like a digital fingerprint, but the webinar's not on DUNS, so I'm not going to go into any more detail there. You've also got your, as I call it, EORI, or EORI number, which is your Economics Operators Registration Identification number. And that's used when importing or exporting goods within the European Union, or between the UK and the European Union. So these again might not be applicable to you. You also got your credit ref number, your delivery addresses, etc. It's pretty basic, that, isn't it? Labels, again, if you make labels, this is the address that'll pull through. Again, self-explanatory. Into reporting, I'm going to come back to parameters, but into reporting, you've got these sections here. So 11 lines per page. Print address on stationery, guess what? That address comes from here, your details. You've got this print end of report banner. Now, when I first became a technician, I questioned that. I was like, what's the point of that? Well, quite simply, at the end of your reports, there is a banner that says end of report. That's it. So if you are sending a report to somebody and you're unsure if this page is missing after you've printed it off or you're emailing it, to know they are at the end of that report, that banner will be at the end of it, and it will just simply say end of report. So they know it's 10 pages, the 10th page at the bottom, end of report. Otherwise, it could be 11, 12, 13 pages, and there could be pages missing from the end. Use data paths for reports. Again, this is a bit of a technical one. So if you're on a network, for example, and your information is held on a network, your templates that you use for reports, if you tick this box, when you run a report, Sage is going to travel down that path to your network location where your data is held, and it's going to use the templates that are stored there. If you have it unticked, it's going to use the templates that are on your C drive, that are on your computer. So that's the difference there. So if you are ever running a report and it looks different to what Joe Bloggs on the left has or Anne Smith on the right has, and they've got use data path for reports ticked, their PCs are traveling to the network in that example to get that template. Yours isn't. Yours is using the templates that are on your C drive. The popular question for technicians, that one, is why does my report look different? Now, other options, accountant details, we can all guess what goes there. Yeah, I'm not going to labor too much on that one. Budgeting, if you use it, this is where you would adjust your settings. So you've got your standard and advanced. Now, I'm not going to go again too much into this because a lot of you may not use the budgeting side of things and you'll start getting bored and switched off and singing along to your radios. But those that do, we do have a lot of information this on the help center. But these are the choices that you would have. You'd use your standard, and this decides what kind of reports majoritively you're going to be running. The advanced reports or standard reports. Your budgeting type, is it you're budgeting by nominal code, by department overview, or get more in depth with it? What chart of accounts are you going to be using? If you've got more than one, you can select which one you're going to use, and then obviously recalculate your departmental actuals. So that essentially just gets the values all set for the current financial year. If you've just cleared your audit trail, don't run that because it's not going to be as accurate. I'd wait until you've run your financial year end before you run that again. But any questions on that one, what I would specifically do, help center first, web chat, and if you've got the subscription, give the telephone guys a call. Don't worry, I am going to come back to parameters. I'm just going through the quicker ones first on this one. At the top here, you've got Go Cardless, supplier payments, PO by Elavon. These are your third party settings. So if you wanted to enable a PO, this is where you would go. It gives you a brief summary about what a PO does. Supplier payments, again, brief summary, and then the setup after that. Guides you through it. Once you've set it all up, you can enable it. You Go Cardless, again, what is it? What does it do? Let's get started, set up. So you can see why I'm not going to focus too much on these settings here, because one, you might not use them. Two, if you do want to use them, have a quick read and research them first. Always advise that. I would never blindly say, yeah, get on the Go Cardless straight away. Have a look at it, see if it's going to be beneficial to you. Take those 5 minutes just to click through those options. Now then, let's get in to my favorite parts of company preferences. First off, MTD in the UK, making tax digital, not month to date, but making tax digital. It's coming, it's arrived. A lot of people are using it already. This is where the magic happens for that. This is where you would enter your details. So your VAT registration number, the non-VAT tax code, your VAT scheme can also be adjusted in here, but the enable making tax digital option is right there. If you want to check if your MTD ready for use of a shorter sentence, then put a tick in that box. Check your company preferences. Again, these are going to be your HMRC details that you're going to be inputting in these sections here. If ever you're submitting a VAT return and you're getting error, the mechanics of it are this. Sage, the program, does your VAT return for you, okay? Calculates it, reconciles it, gets it all prepared, and then there's another system, which is the HMRC system. Now, we do our job by doing the calculations and the reconciliation and the reporting for you, and then there's a bridge, and that bridge is where we send that VAT return across, and HMRC's portal then pick it up. Their systems then take it on. Now, in order for that to be a smooth transition for yourselves, you type in your credentials here. And automatically our program, Sage 50, gives the portal your information for them to receive your VAT return successfully. If we've calculated, reconciled, and report everything is done on your VAT return Sage, and you're clicking submit and you're able to access the portal, we get a lot of calls on it, and the call is it's something to do with HMRC. And obviously I understand that sometimes that's not a very good answer because you're like, oh, but sometimes there is nothing we can do because we can't access their programs. What we would do as technicians in Sage is we would check this screen here, your VAT details screen, and we would ask you to cross-reference and check all the details that you've input there just to make sure they're correct, because these are the details that are going to be received by HMRC. So that's why it's important just to double check this for MTD, just to make sure that your details are all correct. Once it is correct and you're happy with it, you don't have to worry about it again. Unless there's a material change on HMRC side, you don't have to worry about it again because it's done. It's here. The only way it can be changed is if somebody logs in and changes it. So, you know what I mean? Once it's done, it's done. But these are all the settings that you would have, verification settings, etc. So when you do your VAT, just bring the screen back up again. I did this for the part of the proficiency badge, and Abby did a webinar on it yesterday, the VAT verification settings. This is where you'd be able to access it and make those kind of changes. In the Republic of Ireland, these will be different tax codes and your amounts, obviously, but the boxes remain the same. We've also got your payments there. So it keeps flitting from screen to screen. I'll try and control it a wee bit better. But that brings up this box here, sort code, account number, etc. And then you've got your pre-conviction, VAT descriptions. So all your VAT stuff in one tidy little folder, just there. So remember, always, always, always check here just to make sure these details are correct. Once it's done, it's done. You're all right then. So that's the VAT settings. Hopefully I didn't bore you too much with that one. Any questions on that, fire them in, I'll pick them up as I go. Next, parameters, however you want to pronounce it. This is kind of like, we've all got that drawer in the kitchen, haven't we? Where there's a knife from 1993. There's a screwdriver, a couple of screws, AA batteries, an old remote for a TV that we had when we were 14. There's that kitchen drawer, which has got a little bit of everything in it that we might need at some point. This is how I would describe the parameters tab, because it's got a little bit of everything in that we might want to have a look at. So call charges. The example that I would use here is solicitors. If they are charging by rate when they speak to the clients, you can put your call charge in there. Then when you say, I spoke to X for 36 minutes, guess what? It's calculated for you. Transaction processing, again, not to read it out for you, but if you put account on hold, what's going to happen? Are you going to get a warning? Every time you make a change, you're just going to stop the account. Again, self-explanatory, that one. It's this here, the others, that I'm going to dive into for you over the next 10 minutes. So exclude deleted transactions. Let's head into that one straight away. Now, what this essentially does is it doesn't hide any deleted transactions in your transactions list and of your audit trail. You'll see, if you're like me and sometimes you make mistakes, you get this red writing. Nobody likes red pen, do they? There is certain ways you can hide this by setting filters. Michael does some brilliant webinaring on filters. I suggest you go and have a look at that one because there's some excellent tips that he gives on there. But yeah, potentially you can hide it here. What we're talking about majoritively is when you're in a customer's activity, okay, or a supplier's, it's up to you. And if you were to delete a transaction because it was incorrect, then essentially what would happen is you would see that red writing within their activity window, as you can see there. Now, some people like this because it shows them the clear audit trail of that customer. Some people don't because it just occupies real estate on the screen, too much for them. So settings, company preferences, remember that was Fred Bryant. Type in password again. Go to my parameters, exclude deleted transactions. Okay. Go back to my customers, go back to Fred Bryant, look at the activity, and that deletion is no longer visible. It's still been deleted, obviously, but I just can't see that red pen. That's it. So essentially that hides that red pen. So you don't have to look through everything. If you've got seas of red there, let's say, it'll be well hidden. Display active search pop-up. I'm going through the main ones first, and I'll gloss over the smaller ones. Display active search pop-up. Again, this is a kind of unique one if you want to use it or not. I'm just going to click OK for it for now. Let me show you. So if I was to do a batch invoice and I started typing in A, you see it gives me suggestions here. If I was to type in B, it would give me suggestions here. And if you haven't guessed it already, you'll guess it pretty shortly. When I deselect that option in my parameters, so when I untick display active search pop-up, click OK, and then I search again. If I'm doing a batch invoice, I type A, there's no suggestions. B, C, nothing. Now, why is that good? If you've got a fast processor who often makes mistakes because they use their keys and they select the wrong one because of the suggestions that it recommends, simply turning that off will get rid of that option for them. So no longer will they be able to, oops, I accidentally selected the one below rather than the one above. It's not groundbreaking stuff. It's, again, little changes to the way that you process potentially that can speed up the way that you process. Ones I'm going to fly through: allow negative stock, because it explains itself. Enable reversing journals. Guess what? It enables it to reverse journals. No recurring entries at startup. So if you've got recurring entries, that would hide that pop-up. Enable project costing, charity, your log events, pause outside of the financial year message, just in case you're working outside the financial year. It warns you all the time. That gets on people's nerves, so put a tick in there. Again, check for duplicates in supplier and batch entries, but this one, enable data management. I've got a webinar on data management. Hopefully, if you all check this now, you'll have a tick in that box. What this means is when you are approaching the recommended data allowances within your Sage 50, you'll get a little pop-up that'll appear at the top here, a little spanner, and it'll ask you to check your data management to see whereabouts in the program you may be exceeding these limits. And the reason that's a big one is because it's a popular call driver that we get here, because it can slow down your program. I use this analogy quite a lot during my data management webinar. If you imagine Sage as a librarian, the company is your library, and all your transactions are the books. If that librarian's got tens of thousands of transactions to search through when you're trying to run a report, it's going to take a lot longer than it is if there's less books to search through. It's quite easy, the maths behind that. And by enabling data management, you're letting Sage notify you when you potentially got too much information in your program. So you can then access that. You can delete invoices, remove customers you don't use anymore, etc., etc. It's a brilliant, brilliant tool to use if things are running a bit slow for you. That could be one of the reasons. Obviously, there's other factors: your PC, your internet speed, etc., network speed. But the first place we would look at technicians is let's have a look at your data. Sage.co.uk/webinars. You've got enable data management and data management webinar that I run. If you've got any questions on that one, fire them in again. Nice and easy. Now, enable smart totals. This is another good one. So what are smart totals? I'm not going to turn it off and on again. I'm just going to show you what it is essentially. So you can see these customers here all in red. Now my Sage selection style enables me to select many different clients at once. And this red here, for me, means that these clients are over their credit limit. And I want to check what is the balance. So when I'm selecting them, the eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed, smart balance in the bottom here. It's telling me I've got 1 of 30 customers selected. Those 3 are the top 3, on me £35,607.36. I could then just minus what the credit limits are and work out how over those 3 are. Again, not groundbreaking stuff here, just stuff you may not have noticed, and it may improve the way that you use Sage. This is available in certain aspects of the program, and guess what? If you were to turn that off in company preferences, this box at the bottom would disappear and you would just see a bigger list in front of you. So let's say management say, right, how much does Fred Bryant and Morley Solicitors and Picture Frame Limited owe altogether? I want to run down. You've got the answer within 3 seconds, £3,923.82, rather than getting the calculator out. But if you do want the extra real estate, you would just tick that button and get rid of it. Nice and simple. Nice and simple. So the log events that I mentioned before to you, I'm not going to exit just for the sake of this one. I'll explain it to you, but potentially, and I say potentially because not all aspects of the program, but potentially you'll be able to see who's done what, who deleted that transaction, who moved this, who ran this report. Again, it's a very technical thing to have, so it is there just to double check if anything has happened. Let's have a look at the log events and see what happened there. Enable check data and backup with users logged in. It does exactly what it says on the tin. So we recommend that you check your data and backup when other users are logged out, and that's because obviously if they're continually processing, things can happen. Things can be slow. Maybe data doesn't reach sync how it should have synced. I was going to say sunk there. Synced how it should have synced. So we always recommend, get everybody logged out, then check your data. But if you haven't got a scope for that, because people are in and out constantly, then you can easily check your data, back up your data that's on your terminal by having a tick in that box. Again, quite a techie option, that. You copy skeleton journals. It's another good one. So if you were to tick in that box, when you save, if you're a professional, you save one of your journals, memorize and recall. If you were to click recall and bring back a previous journal that you'd made, this would carry the values of that journal through as well. Unticked, it would just bring the journal through blank, ready for you to type the values in on. Again, quite self-explanatory, that one. So really, the biggest ones, I think, are the excluded deleted transactions, the display active search pop-up, the enable data management, always. Okay, and then maybe you've got your enable smart totals there, if you didn't know that that existed. The other options, VAT up here, again, is a big one. That's why I put a bit of focus on that one. Make sure, if you can, the details are completed in there if you're going to start using your MTD via Sage. Imperative, really, to get those correct, because this is what Sage uses to speak to HMRC's portal. And once Sage has done its job this side of things, it then hands the baton over to HMRC's portal, who will then process that VAT return that you've ran. So it's a nice and easy webinar that you've had today. Hopefully you got some good information out of it. If you've got any questions, please send them across to me now. I don't mind going back into the program and having a look, and if I can't answer it instantly, I'll get back to you. A question coming there saying, when does Sage get a comma to separate the thousands? Now, if by that you mean 4,000, then there's no scope for that at the moment. I haven't heard of anything like that coming in. It's pretty much is what it is in that instance. If that's what you mean by that question, if not, please correct me. But the question was, when does Sage get a comma to separate the thousands? There's nothing that I've heard that that's going to happen. More focus is on kind of the decimal rather than the comma. But if you do have options and ideas like that, we have a roadmap. If you type it into Google or your search engine, Sage roadmap, if you put that on the roadmap saying you would like a comma introduced, and other customers or users of Sage jump on that and say, yes, let's get that comma, then it's something that the developers will look at. Because we listen to your feedback constantly, because it's the only way that we're going to improve is if we're doing what you want us to do, essentially. But thank you for the question on that one. Excellent. Thank you for confirming that. So if you do want to put that on Sage roadmap, then yeah, that would be wonderful, because there might be thousands of customers out there who want the same feature functionality. Back to the slides. So what we looked at today is what are company preferences. We looked at the benefits of using them, and then we had like a 20-minute, 25-minute demonstration there, which I hope you weren't too bored with. Had nobody leaving, so that's excellent. So it was a good sign. If you do want to have a mess around with company preferences, please remember to take a backup before you do, because if you make any changes, obviously they're going to stick around. Remember exactly how and why you change things as well. Notify other people as to why you made these preference changes as well. But again, if you've picked up anything today, that's the point of these webinars. You are going to be receiving a feedback form after the webinar itself. So if you could complete that for us to let us know what next you want covered. You can have a look at our free learning content in Sage University as well. Loads of bite-sized video content in there from beginners to expert level kind of information, teach you how to process. Also, we do our one-to-one bespoke training. It's back by popular demand. So one of our guys will call you. They will remote into your PC and they will show you how to process and teach you how to process in the way that you want to process. So these webinars are kind of more generic, giving you information. The one-to-one bespoke training is more kind of, they sit down and say, right, what do you need? Specifically for your company's needs, how do you want your processing to look? And they will teach you how to do it. They will show you how to do it. They'll come up with ideas for you in order to create those processes that make your processing nice and simple. But again, you're going to get the feedback form. Any ideas for future webinars, please let us know. That's how we develop. Any comments on this webinar, more than encouraged. We read absolutely every single comment and we look to improve moving forward. A different style of webinar for you today. It's mainly me talking and no handout, so I appreciate it's not the norm that we usually have, but hopefully you found it enjoyable and beneficial. We do have our VAT series still running. The next is at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and that is on VAT reporting, reconciliation. So if you want to join that one, go to sage.co.uk/webinars, sign up to it. And remember, you've got to attend 5 out of 7 of webinars plus the quiz, and you will receive your digital badge for LinkedIn and advertise to everybody that you are qualified in VAT with Sage. But thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. If you do need anything at all, you know where we are, but I will leave you to your busy days and hopefully we'll see you at 2 o'clock. So from me, it's bye for now.